Hello and welcome. This is Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb. Delighted to have you here and thank you for joining. We're going to be talking about measuring your marketing, how to use reports and analytics to evaluate your marketing campaigns. I am Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb and we're going to get right into the details of the event today. Would like to share with you first a few things while we wait for everyone to get live. If you'd like to ask questions during the event, I'm going to go through an actual little demo on how to get here, but you can also go to this page, BizzyWeb.com/event/BWNRMYM. If you go to that page, you'll be able to click and log in. This is also the link that you received if you registered with us for the event, but I know that a lot of folks actually do tune in on our YouTube channel and find us through the Google Hangouts on Air tool because this live is being broadcast live over Google Hangouts on Air. While we wait for folks to join, if you do have questions or to request the PowerPoint, by all means, send me a note at dave@BizzyWeb.com or call us at 612-4BizzyO, 612-424-9990 to give us a call or ask any questions that you might have as far as technology or details. If you do notice that the audio stops or stutters a little bit, just scroll backwards a little ways because it's usually a problem with the encoder on Google, and that's always fixed by the time it gets into post-production, and that all happens automatically on Google. We do have operators standing by and watching, so if you have any issues, be assured that we are looking into the issues that you might be seeing. All right, I want to demo this for you for just a moment to show you how you can ask questions. What you do in order to ask those questions, if you do have those, is go from the event at event/BWNRMYM, and then under the account that you'll see, a lot of our folks tend to just click on the play button here and watch the video live, which is completely fine. But if you feel like you want to ask some questions, and Nicole, I did see that you had an issue there, and luckily I think we're back online and everything's working for you. But if you do have questions that you'd like to ask live, under number 1 above, you can click on this Google Plus link to take you to the actual Google Plus page and continue to click. So if you go here, it's going to take you to this page, and then you'll see on this event that there's a little play button, and then it says Q&A and live. So if you click on this Q&A/live button, it's going to open up another window. From that other window, you'll be able to watch the event live in a little bit of a bigger window. And when you click on that window, you'll see that there are questions here. And Carrie, I will answer your question in a little bit. So thank you very much for asking that. And Nicole, we have started, so hopefully everything's good for you. Down at the bottom right, if you would like to ask questions, and again, looks like we have some folks that already know how to do this, just click the green Ask a New Question button down at the bottom. And if you have questions, ask your questions here. And so if you do that, we'll be able to take care of you and hang out. So thank you very much. And Carrie, again, we will get to your question at the end, and so we'll talk through that in a moment. All right, so that's a little bit about us and what we do for this event. Let's also talk about who we are at BizzyWeb. BizzyWeb has been around since '99, so we're in our 16th year. We're just a little bit north of Minneapolis, Minnesota in Champlin. And if you happen to be local here, we'd love to see you sometime and stop by our hive. And the other things that we mostly do here are we take care of your connections, your analytics, and your reports. We'll skip ahead for a second on that because it looks like we had a little bit of an issue with the page sequencing. But what we do as a marketing company is we do a lot of web design, and then we also do full Constant Contact integrations. We are Constant Contact authorized local experts, as well as master certified with Constant Contacts. And we also build websites, do search engine optimization campaigns, help with client writing, and basically we're a full service online marketing agency. If you need help in generating buzz without getting stung, we are the folks to talk to. So thank you very much for joining us. Let's talk through why you're here today and the detail and the balance of our event today. And that's to talk about two big things: reports. And the first thing that we need to talk about with reports is what you can get out of a report, and then analytics, what to do with your reports. So The best way to tell this is if you're using analytics and if you measure against an outcome on a marketing campaign, you're going to look at actions, open rates, click rates, number of coupons sold, donations raised. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but analytics is really the evaluation of those numbers contained in those reports. Small businesses believe that reports and analytics are incredibly helpful. As a matter of fact, small businesses feel that analytics and reporting can have a 75% advantage, or 75% of businesses believe that that gives you a business advantage. And as for if they're going to keep their customers, well, absolutely. Small businesses feel that, or 67% of businesses feel that analytics and knowing what's happening can absolutely help you drive your analytics or help you drive your customer retention and keep things moving forward. So here's our agenda for the day. We're going to talk through first marketing with reports and analytics, and then we're going to take the next step and get deeper into what each of those types of things that you can do inside of analytics, including email, events, surveys, offers and promotions, donations, and social media. So we'll talk about how to measure each and all of those, as well as generally how to evaluate a marketing campaign. What we're going to get into first, of course, is marketing with reports and analytics. So let's talk a little bit deeper about how all of this stuff works. First, how do reports and analytics relate to your marketing? Well, really, marketing has changed. Some of that change is really obvious, but I want to talk briefly about one of the changes that affects you and your ability to grow your business. And that's when you use all of your online tools, reports, and analytics, there's really a shift in the way you may find and keep customers in today's business climate. We all know that at its core, marketing is about getting results. What that is, and there's really a three-step process inside of getting results. Marketing means something very specific, and it's important that we're on the same page. So my definition of marketing is that you define an audience and the group of people that you want to target, and then you reach out to them with a message that's specific to that audience, and then you seek to elicit a physical and measurable response. And that's what we're talking about today. So let's get into what are reports and analytics. Well, first, analytics are the insights that you get from analyzing and evaluating the numbers in your reports. Analytics takes your marketing to the next level by using the numbers that you get to make informed decisions and to explore different approaches to improve your campaigns. We're going to look at all the reports that are available to you, but before we do that, let's talk about something very important. Do not be afraid of low numbers in your reports, because while reports show you what's happening now and analytics help make your decisions for tomorrow, it's not always the big numbers that matter most. What you need to really focus on is where the trends are going inside of your business. And certainly in small businesses, we don't start with a massive amount of follows or with a massive amount of click-throughs. The goal of these analytics and of running reports is to figure out what your next step should be to continually improve. And just like with weight loss or health and fitness, it's little changes made in a positive direction every single day that are going to net big results in the long run. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and there's no such thing as an easy fix. But when you start measuring what you're doing, you'll start seeing your trends improve, and you'll probably be surprised at how fast those changes do happen. Something to keep in mind as you're using these reports and analytics is to measure and evaluate your marketing. Don't stress out about what everyone else is doing. When we really look at these conversion rates, and whether it's nonprofit and religious organizations, hotels, education, government agencies, you can look at this and see, what your click-through rate really should be. So if you're a restaurant, 22.72% is an average click-through rate or an average open rate on emails. But you'll probably see that your open rate is much less as you get started. You have to build rapport with your clients. You'll have to build a method to see what really resonates best with the people that you're trying to reach. And then again, as you work with what you know and you build on what works and modify what doesn't, you'll start to see your trend lines going in a very positive direction. So when you measure your marketing and you find that you're ahead of the game, that's awesome. But figure out what's working and continue to improve it. And let's look at what you're going to need to do to make some of those changes. So let's get down into the weeds now on how to take care of marketing campaigns, types, and reports. So first, we've talked about why reports and analytics are important, and now let's dig in a little bit deeper on the 6 types of campaigns. We'll be looking beyond individual statistics, and I'm going to show you how to use analytics to compare different types of actions to each other within a marketing campaign and determine what you did great, what you didn't, and what you might want to do differently. So, inside of campaigns and reports, one of the chief benefits of using a marketing service provider like BizzyWeb and Constant Contact is the ability to get insight into what your audience is doing when they receive your communications. You can see if they're opening, forwarding, clicking, sharing, or what they're doing with your content. How do you reap rewards from those metrics? Well, you need to know what they mean, what those trends are and what to look for, and how you can leverage the information provided to improve your communications and achieve the measurable results that you want. Let's take a look at the types of campaigns that you might want to use and dig into the reports that you should look at today. First, when you log into Constant Contact, you're going to see a list that looks kind of like this on how all of your marketing is doing. This is in the reporting tab. It's a big thing along the side, and you can see it highlighted right now. Inside of that, you can dig into individual campaigns. So if you're doing this right, and if it's been set up by either a provider like BizzyWeb, or if you've taken your time and gone through all of the setup steps to get your Constant Contact or marketing campaign set up effectively, you'll have a number of different types of campaigns that you can run and connect with. So whether it's surveys, events, offers and promotions, or specific campaigns like donation campaigns for nonprofits, you'll be able to see at a glance what's happening and what that might mean. Let's dig a little bit deeper though and look at what types of things you should be able to expect inside of each of these types of reports. So for email, what you're looking for is open rate, click-through rate, and then bounces, spam, and opt-outs. So the opt-outs are also like unsubscribes. So inside of that, what you should be paying attention to, of course, is the open rate. The open rate tells you how many people opened your message, the percentage of people who opened it compared to the total number of people that you sent it to. Reporting features will show you the information on an individual level, who opened your email, when they opened it, what day and time. And when you dive deeper and analyze that open rate, it'll show you the audience preferences for things like frequency, content, and subject line. Look for patterns of high and low open rates and make correlations between the numbers and how often things were sent and what you talk about in your emails and how compelling your subject line was. If you've dialed in on BizzyWebinars in the past about effective campaigns, you've probably seen the rule of 2-2-2. The big thing on subject lines and in messaging is you need to think of the first 2 words that are most important to grab someone's attention inside of their inbox, the first 2 seconds worth of content and what you're going to be able to do to drive people in and to get them to take that next step, and what you can expect people or ask people to do today. So when you look at that 2-2-2, you'll start to see that your open rate and then your click-through rate is going to advance. You're also going to look at your click-through rate. So as you look at click-through rate, that's what people are actually doing inside of that message. So once they open your email, you want to look at what they do inside of it. If you only have one thing that you want people to click on, that makes it pretty simple. But you may have 5 or 6 different items in a newsletter that you want people to take and focus on. You want to pay attention to which of those people are actually clicking on, what percentage of your audience took that action, and then analyze those clicks to learn what that audience prefers. If you included links about your products, the information on your website, or blog posts, the number of clicks will tell you what your big hits are. You might find that no one has ever clicked on that one thing that you thought was so important inside of your messaging, but if you don't, you won't know what's working and what's not. And just because people aren't clicking on it doesn't necessarily mean that it should be pulled out of an event or a email. What it does mean is that people just aren't compelled to take the next step that you're asking them to do. So if you find that people aren't clicking, you may want to be more clear with the next step that you're expecting them to take, like click here for more. Or obviously, if you include an entire article inside of your email newsletter, no one's going to click on the link to go to more because there isn't any more to go to. Next, we're going to want to look at the event campaigns. So once you look at event campaigns, there's all kinds of wonderful stuff that you're going to look inside of there. Reports for that show the audience's registration status, attendance rate, and payment status. And when you're viewing event reports, you're going to want to focus on the registration status. It tells you how many people have entered into the registration process, or in other words, the number of people who are planning to attend, or at least interested in your event. This information, when it's analyzed, can give you insight into factors like the effectiveness of your event promotions and interest level in the event topic or time and date. When you want to run a survey, you're going to want to look at the response rate, the open rate, and the click-through rate on the surveys. The response rate is the most important information in the survey reports. Your results are important and valid with a high response rate because that's a sample of the majority of your audience. If you only get 3 or 4 people on your survey, it's going to be really hard to make any extrapolation on what the data that you're collecting really means. So using analytics on survey reports will tell you if your audience is engaged and invested in your organization, and it tells you that they understood the goal of your survey, if they were able to easily complete the questions, and if they were engaged in the call to action. If they got a low response rate, the number should probably prompt you to review the questions in your survey. Maybe there were too many, maybe they were asking too much, and maybe the questions were too leading or required too much thinking. If you had a lot of open-ended questions, for example, you might find that your response rate goes down because people think that that takes longer, and in fact it is a lot more brain intensive to have to enter in something in a blank box than it is to simply choose A, B, C, or D. Offers and promotions will show the number of offers claimed or sold, the amount of revenue that you made, your new customers who participated in the campaigns, how much reach your promotion received, and the number of people who shared the campaign via social media or email. So from there, what you're going to learn about is the number of offers and details that are inside of your account. So for example, if you want to take it one step further into donations, the number of offers that were claimed or sold, or what you get, the number of details on the reports that you'll receive from donation include funds raised, number of donors, and the engagement. You want to look a lot or take special detail in the amount of funds raised and what the goal is against the top indicator of success. If you've met or exceeded your goal, analyze those results and keep track of what worked for you. And if you didn't reach your goal, take a look at your efforts and what was missing. So if you didn't have a good call to action, if you didn't have any details on what you were looking for inside or what you were asking people to do, or if there wasn't a compelling enough story to get people to take that action, that might be one of the issues. Finally, social media. And this is really a huge topic, so we're going to talk about a lot of detail on here, but the big things that you want to look at: engagement, click-through rate, reach, and then fans and followers. Each of the social networks really has its own analytics tools and reports, and you can dig into each of those. So Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter all have specific types of engagements and actions that you're going to ask. All of these networks really have different engagement actions and vocabulary, and we've talked about those a little bit in past Busy webinars. Today we're going to look at the basic of 3 networks: Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, and some common reports that you're going to see among those networks. Each of the networks tracks engagement metrics. On Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, it's all just a little bit different. So the 2 most important measurements to consider is the engagement metrics and the click rates. So when you look at this and you think, what am I trying to get? Who's following? Who's sharing? Who's liking? That's when you're going to be able to dig in a little bit more and to really figure out what people are saying, thinking, and doing. And really with social media, it's one step further removed from the rest of the offers and options inside of reports. So email, events, surveys, promotions, donations, they're all pretty straightforward, but social media really has 3 or 4 steps, and you have to dig in a little bit harder. So we're going to look at that a little bit differently. The key thing to note is when you analyze your reports and discover that your engagement and click-through rate numbers are high, that means that you've probably tapped into solid topics and information that your audience wants to see from you on social media. If they're not where you want them to be, then your content isn't doing enough to grab their interest. Think about factors like frequency and timing. If you're posting too often, you may be turning your audience off. If you're not sharing enough, or if you're not doing the right type or the expected type of sharing that you're looking for. So if you're sharing all kinds of whimsy and oversharing on LinkedIn, you're probably going to see a drop off in engagement. Likewise, if you don't share enough on Twitter, or if you do multi-part tweets, you're going to find that the engagement level drops off pretty rapidly. So let's go a little bit further into what is going to happen once you start looking at this stuff. So if, for example, in email, you have a high open rate, but a low click-through rate, well, that's probably telling you that once people get into that email, you're not seeing enough engagement. So if you have a high open rate, to make it even better, keep finding that best time of day. So you might want to separate it out, try sending your messages at different times, and then analyze and look at what's happening inside of that open rate. So if you send it like in the middle of the week and you're trying to send out to a group of individuals that might not be in front of a computer in the middle of the day, whether they be retail folks or trades. So for example, if you have a lawn service and you're running emails trying to reach those folks, and you're not seeing any engagement, well, it's probably because they're not in front of their computers or their phones at that particular time. So look at a different time, look at different keywords, and try segmenting your audience by interest. Inside of every business, we have a number of different types of organizations and a number of different types of clients that we work with. So look at what the best messages are and try to segment your audience for that interest. If you have a low click-through rate inside of your messages, you might want to try having a strong call to action. If you have 5 or 10 things on your email newsletter, reduce that down to 2 or 3, and I would guarantee almost that you'll see a higher click-through rate on the call to action that you ask for. Make your email mobile friendly. A lot of times we work off of templates that we've had for a long time, and if your template wasn't redesigned in the past year, you might want to talk to us at BizzyWeb or your representative at Constant Contact. If you're not with Constant Contact, my apologies to you, but you'll want to talk with your email service provider to make sure that your messages look good on mobile devices, because low click-through rates probably mean that people are clicking in it. They see it, they don't want to pinch and zoom or have to scroll all over the place to see and get to what they're expecting. And so keeping that mobile responsive part inside of your templates and newsletters is very important if you want people to actually do something with it when they open it. And then finally, try shortening up your email if you're having problems. If you have a low open rate and a high click-through rate, that probably means that you're sending too often or not often enough. So try merging. If you're sending it a lot, try sending it less often, and if you're vice versa. And try looking at your strong subject line. So if you have people that just aren't getting into it, but they're getting engaged with the content, for the folks that do, make sure that your content is relevant and engaging. That strong subject line will get more people in to the message so that you can take them through that high click-through rate once they're in there. If you already have a high click-through rate, to make it even better, you could format links to stand out. You can offer links to preferred content, and you can segment your audience based on clicks. For events, if you have low registration and high attendance, well, a lot of the same things are going to apply here, of course, but improve it by time, date, location. Keep the registration form simple and short. What you want to do with events is get people in and registered first. Don't worry about getting all of the details and information on your event in front of people with that very first email, because what they need to know is enough to make the decision on if they're going to attend. Once they say that they're going to attend, then you can hit them with all the information that they need. Make sure that you have clicks to that information from right away if you want to keep people coming through. But make sure that you promote it, but don't push it. If you have high attendance, to make it even better, stay with similar time, date, and location, survey to find out what's working and keep doing more of that, and then send reminders, and be sure to include multimedia in your follow-ups in particular on your events. If, however, you have high registration and low attendance, you're going to want to promote your event on multiple channels, include multimedia and promotions, and give past attendees early registration. So lots of registrations. One thing that you might want to look at if you have low attendance in particular is make sure that you're charging money for events. If you have something in person, it's almost necessity, especially if you're running lunches or any of that stuff, to collect some money. Now, even if it's not a large or sizable amount, most people don't really care if they see a high enough value on the event itself. The big investment is coming. So paying for an event, whether it be $5 or $50, is less important to your attendees than it is to just show up. And so once people do pay for an event, that makes it much more likely that they actually will be there. And as a double super bonus, if they've paid for their lunch and they don't show up, you're not out that money. For low attendance, make sure that you can improve it. And to do that, you might want to try selecting a better time, a better location, provide incentives for people to attend, or be sure, of course, to send reminders. Now, all the rest of them are mostly the same between surveys, offers, promotions, and donations. We're going to skip over to social media. High engagement and low click rate is a big problem a lot of times for social media posts. To increase your engagement on those posts, make sure that you're tailoring your content to something that your clients are actually interested in. A lot of times we, as marketers, tend to get really excited about specific things, and a lot of times we get really excited about ourselves. If you're a medical practice and your doctor gets a new award, it's obvious and exciting for you to post that information up. If you are posting that and it's not directly relevant to the person's needs, you'll probably see that you have a low click-through rate. Share the types of information that they expect and that they like. Of course, in Instagram, you're going to show photos. In Pinterest, you're going to show videos and photos. Facebook is all of the above. Twitter, don't be afraid to post content that's multidisciplinary, video and imagery, because that all dovetails really nicely into the timeline on Twitter now. And then make sure to look at the times and dates that work for you. We tend to just post away and think that that's going to work on the same timeline that we're interested in, but it's really easy to schedule posts on different times. And if you use tools like Constant Contact or a well-sorted website that can auto-post at specific times and dates, BizzyWeb's websites, for example, allow you to post with one click to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and integrate with your email marketing all at different times. If you do that correctly, you're going to hit people when they're interested with what they're interested in. If you have a low click-through rate, you can improve that by offering reasons to click links. You might offer them a coupon or a white paper download. Keep posts visually interesting and post often, but not too often. When people are clicking around and looking at things, it's easy for us to post quite often. You know, Twitter is one thing, you can post quite a bit there, but on LinkedIn, if you're posting more than once a day, you're probably overdoing it. So don't get too crazy. If you have low engagement but a high click rate, then you can improve that by offering useful and engaging content. What they're not seeing is the engagement inside of that. So if they're not visiting those posts, but the few folks that do are likely to click, that means that you've got a lot of value, but you're not enticing them to come in. So post when your fans are online, include multimedia, and make sure that your multimedia matches the requirements of the network. For example, on Facebook, when you publish a video to a Facebook page, whether it's a YouTube page or YouTube link or an embedded video, sometimes that video will automatically play, but audio doesn't play unless they click on it. So you have to show people what's included in that video, or give them some sort of enticement right in the first 2 seconds on why they should click to open it if you're requiring that. And another good practice is to include closed captioning so that they don't need to hear it and still can get the message. If you have a high click rate, make it even better. Repeat successful calls to action, hit them again and again, and post content that the audience clicks on. Offer exclusive content on that social network, and then you'll see that people are clicking through and enjoying that content more. Aside for 1 second, just make sure that we don't have any questions. I do have Carrie's question here yet, but if you have more folks, or if more folks on the line would like to ask those questions, again, the best and easiest way to get your question answered is to go to the page. If you're watching the video live from our event page that you received the email from, under number 1 above that embedded video, there's a link to this Google Plus link. If you go into that Google Plus link, you'll see the same thing. You'll be able to ask questions as long as you have a Google account. And that green button in the lower right is where you ask those questions. So we're going to save about 10 minutes at the end of the event here to answer all those questions. So Carrie, again, if you miss us, or if you have to duck out earlier than that, be sure to send me a subsequent follow-up so that I can answer that question for you. But we'll definitely get to unsubscribes and how to work that. And we'll show you how to do that in a moment. Let's get back into our content and keep moving forward. So if you have that social media engagement, and if people really know what's happening and what's going on, then with all these reports, the campaigns that we're looking at include one thing in common. All of them include click-throughs. So no matter what you're using, email, events, surveys, offers, promotions, or even social media, you can measure those click-throughs. This goes back to what we talked about earlier, the importance of measuring actions. Once we get into these actions, click-through rates means that they're connecting, they're engaging, that the content that you're giving them really means something to them. Open rates are one thing, that's to get them in the door, but click-throughs give you an idea of what content people like, what products they're interested in, what types of calls to action work, and what keywords appeal to your readers and the type of multimedia that's interesting to them. What you ultimately want to do with click-throughs is drive people back to your website, your networks, your business, or your location, and give them a call to action that matters to your business. We don't care if people are interested or signing up for our newsletter, if they're liking us on Facebook, or even if they're giving us a call, if it doesn't result in additional sales and additional engagement, or bringing them further along our marketing funnel to help them engage and close sales. So make sure that you're looking to make sure that those click-through rates are engaging people in a way that's actually relevant to you and your business. You want them to buy, learn, read, watch, comment, engage with your business. The goal of all of this is to keep your business top of mind and get them to do what you want them to do. So that leads us to number 3 inside of our event, how to evaluate a marketing campaign. We've looked at the information that's available in reporting tools and what you can tell by analyzing your results. And let's put it together and look at some best practices to evaluate your marketing campaigns. To do that, we're going to get to our best buddies, the Half Moon Yoga Studio, and they recently launched their new website. They want to make sure that their customers are aware of the website and they want to drive traffic to it. The first thing that Half Moon Yoga Studio needs is to set a goal. In this case, the goal is to drive people to the new website. So from that, they've set that goal, and what they need to know from there is the success metrics. And so what they're thinking is that they need at least a 16% open rate and a 7% click-through rate to meet about the industry average. So they want to meet or exceed that average for this campaign. They've set the goals. They have their metrics. Now they need to create that campaign. The campaign should help them achieve their goal by using an email announcement as a way to simply inform their customers about the website. They're going to use some of the tips earlier to identify and enhance those what ifs. They're going to create an email that's not too long, has some information on what their audience is interested in, give it a what's in it for them kind of message, and list those benefits like a better class schedule, a yoga forum to ask questions, and a section to what instructors have posted on video tips to help their members perfect their poses. The email doesn't overwhelm readers with too many choices. It needs to have a single call to action, which of course is a big old crazy link to the website. And then they're going to send this email in the evening because that's when they usually send information to their customers. And that's also usually when their customers tend to be checking emails for this type of information, right? So even if they're corporate customers, they're probably checking emails on their phones at that time. They're making sure that it's mobile responsive and that it's going to meet the needs of what their clients are expecting. Then they're going to send that email to their customer list. They're going to look at it, send it out, and looks like a few days after the email is sent, they've checked the report and their open rate was 12%. It fell a little bit short on the open rate metric, but their click rate was 10%, so it was higher than their estimate. Remember the what ifs that we looked at earlier? Half Moon Yoga has a low open rate, but a high click rate, so they need to analyze their numbers to discover what they could improve to get a better open rate. Might have been the subject line, might not have been short enough if it was too long, or if it was sent at a bad time of day, that could have affected the open rate. And for the high click rate, the customers who did open that email showed more interest in the call to action of the email than the other emails. What worked for them in this case? Well, they probably kept their content short and they only talked about the website and its benefits. They didn't have 12 things on that message. And so it was much more likely that people were going to take that next step and click on the link to visit the website. So when they click on this, they're going to apply their learnings. So before, their subject line was check out our new website. They can get a higher open rate with a better subject line to grab their readers' attention. Their open rate report revealed that they should send their next email during the morning because that's when most of the opens took place. Their click rates will go up if their future emails have shorter content and offer tips or advice that will benefit their audience. And when their audience sees something that'll benefit them, they'll probably click on those links to get that information. So subject line before on this one was check out our new website. Now they're going to take that next email, and registering for your favorite class just got easier. Much more simple, straight and to the point. It's a little bit longer, but it's more action-oriented. It's the difference between October newsletter and we need 3 hammers tomorrow at our Habitat for Humanity event. So let's look at this. They needed to select the best campaign for their goal. In this case, they had an event. And so they looked forward on it. If you click on this, you can keep this kind of open and do this for yourself. And if you want this template, again, send a note to dave@BizzyWeb.com and we'll be happy to send you the tips portions of this event. And that'll help you really drive forward with what you want to do. So you can do exactly what Half Moon Yoga Studio did for you. When you fill out a worksheet kind of like this, the next time you do a campaign, just feel free and think about what the real goal is. And then think about the type of campaign that you'll use to achieve that goal. Think about the metrics for that campaign type, and then create or send or share your campaign, write down your results, and take a look at the next campaign and think about what worked and what didn't on this campaign, and take it forward. The key is all that marketing is measurement. If you're not measuring, you're not marketing. And it's hard to set and improve if you don't look back at what worked. So think about all of this stuff. In this case, for example, for the Half Moon Yoga Studio, they had an event. Their open rate was average. They wanted an average open rate of 6% or 16%. They got a click-through rate average of 7%, and they had a little bit lower open and a little bit higher click than they expected. So what worked was the call to action was clear and it was easy to find, and it really kept that content short, and they listed the benefits of using the website. But the subject line wasn't that compelling, and they were going to try a different day of the week and time of day to improve their click-through rates. So track this stuff and make sure that you're looking at what's working, what's not, and what you'll do different for next time. Switching back over, just looking at some questions here from folks that are on the line. And Megan and Obed had a question on whether we're going to talk about Google Analytics or just Constant Contact. And on this event, we're talking about Constant Contact, but we'll get a little bit into some Google Analytics details. And we'll cover that in a minute at the end, right after Carrie's question. So we'll look at that. And in essence, all of the same lessons apply. But in that case, it's for websites instead of for emails and social media. And it's really easy to get in and to get the type of content and trends that you're looking for. And as a matter of fact, if you're looking for Google Analytics and how to use that, we did an event about a month and a half ago that Kevin on the BizzyWeb team ran on how to use Google Analytics reports to make efficient decisions inside of your marketing. So we'll send that out, and then Megan, Obed, give me a email and remind me to send you that direct link to the Google Analytics event, and we'll send that over. All right, so we've got how to evaluate a marketing campaign in the can. What are your next steps? First, as you send campaigns and gain data, make sure that you set benchmarks for yourself. What are the metrics that are going to determine your success? We showed you some of the comparison industry charts, and I gave you a link inside of that on your for all of the different industries on what a relative open rate should be. Start with the average for your industry and compare it with the marketing that you've already done, and then find your own trends for these metrics and start trying to grow your numbers. Don't worry about if the numbers are lower right now, because again, what we're going for is a fitness program for yourself and your marketing. And so you're going to track where you are and then try and move in the right direction. Next, set a frequency to review your reports and make changes to your marketing. Set each individual campaign. Once a quarter, sit down and look at common themes, things that you did well, you didn't do well, and apply them to your marketing. This is one thing that we do with our Buzz Builders online marketing programs for our clients every quarter, and sometimes every month for specific types of clients. If they're really being aggressive in their marketing and trying to grow, then looking at this more often is going to get you faster and better results. Keep an eye on things as you go and write down things you notice and review them as you're doing those reporting checks. The trick inside of this is don't change everything at once. Think about the what-if situations that we covered earlier, compare your numbers to what's working, and then when you do this, you know, if you're thinking about this in a streamlined way and you're taking measured steps toward your goal, that's going to be where you get all your results. If you keep changing everything all at once, it's going to be really hard to figure out what did work inside of that messaging. So set yourself up with a solid base. Do what the general industry in online marketing is doing and just kind of set those baselines. Do email, do social media, have a great foundational website, and make sure that your website has a lot of engaging content. You know, I've said it before in BizzyWebinars, your goal in marketing is to take these 4 steps: engage, inform, capture, and convert. The engagement is what we're talking about measuring with our click-through rates today. Informing is some of that engagement, but taking it one step deeper. And then the call to action is really that capture part where you want to get people to subscribe to your email newsletter, like you on Facebook or follow you on Twitter or call you in your office. And then once you've captured their information and you can continue the conversation with them, that'll let you continue to engage and inform them until you've converted them into a customer. So make sure that you're taking that and moving forward and looking at what you can do for your business inside of this marketing. Again, remember, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. So make sure that you take that to heart and look at what you're doing and what you're getting. Let's move forward for a second and talk about what to do next. First, we have BizzyWeb trainings available throughout the month. And sometimes we have 3 or 4 things going on in a week, but most times we have at least one thing going on, and that, of course, is our BizzyWebinars. So go to BizzyWeb.com/events. Be sure that you register for upcoming events. You'll get added into an email. You'll get the reminder email in advance, and we send a follow-up email afterwards with that easy call to action, whether it be request the PowerPoint presentation or the tips and tricks from the event, or if you have additional questions, to schedule a time to talk to us. If you have not started with Constant Contact yet, I was a skeptic. About a year and a half ago, BizzyWeb didn't really do much in email marketing, but the one thing that kept bugging me about my clients' marketing was that they didn't really have enough traction. And despite my internal inclinations that email and spam were bothering people, it's really hard to argue with the fact that email still works. It's the one thing that's universal that we all have. And Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, your website are all great engagement points, but email is the one universal spot that we all have to collect information and to continue to be useful, be helpful, and push content to our readers and our clients in a systematic and thoughtful way. Note, I never said spam. Don't send things that aren't useful. Don't send things that aren't helpful. Make sure that you're engaging, informing, then capturing and converting. So if you look at that from a systematic perspective, look at your open rates and make sure that you're continually improving, you're going to see some real results. If you would like a 60-day free trial with Constant Contact, just go to BizzyWeb.com/cc. You get access to that free trial. If you decide to sign up, we can actually get you a free template, which is a $200 value if you haven't already used Constant Contact before and if you haven't already taken advantage of that. But then again, there's all kinds of wonderful stuff available at the BizzyWeb blog or at blogs.constantcontact.com/library. So there's all kinds of stuff about everything that we talked about today inside of here. Finally, here's those links again. And one more thing. Don't forget to grab your free trial at BizzyWeb.com/cc. But the last thing I want to tell you about is to get a free buzz report for the folks that are on the line. If you go to BizzyWeb.com/buzz, you're going to see a window like you see in the lower right of this page. And all you need to do is click in your website address, a keyword that's important to your business to get found for, your name and your phone, and then click Scan Now. And 45 seconds later, you're going to get back a 10-page report that includes a handy checklist on what you need to do to improve your online marketing. We're going to look at that, and if you'd like us to talk to you more about it in a little bit more detail, or if you'd like to sign up for any of our online marketing programs, we'd love to help you with that. At BizzyWeb, we believe in one thing. We help our clients generate buzz without getting stung. We help our clients build their businesses without all of the baloney that you don't need. And so if you're interested in that, or if you'd like some help with any of those things, be sure to get a hold of us today. You can reach me at dave@BizzyWeb.com. My direct line is up here right now at 612-293-9323, or you can call us at 612-4BizzyO 424-9990 to talk to anyone in the office. Again, I am Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb, and we're going to go over to our Q&A section now, and I'm going to trim that off at the end. So if you're listening along, if you'd like more details or have more questions, feel free to reach me at the contact information on this screen. All right, let's move forward and want to answer these questions. I'm going to go backwards from our questions. So first, Carrie, thank you very much for asking that question right at the beginning of the event here. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to click next here, next. Okay, so we'll go through this, and then I'm going to answer these in order. So first, Carrie asks, I have a question, not sure we'll be able to cover it, but you had someone unsubscribe and they want to resubscribe back. The best way to do that is actually give them a list or give them the link to resubscribe, or if they've contacted you, you can actually re-add them to that list. You have to be a little bit careful about adding people back in unless you get their explicit permission, but best thing to do is just to have them follow the same link or a new link to get them to resubscribe. It should be a simple button. And if you have questions on that, or if you're having trouble, if you're using Constant Contact, there's an 800 number at the top of your screen when you're in the back end, and your Constant Contact representative They're based out of Boston. They're wonderful people, and they really know their stuff, and they'll be able to help you if you're having tricky bits. So hopefully that helps that, Carrie. And if you do have that question, or if you're having that issue, by all means, try and give that a shot. So add them back in with a link, or talk to your constant contact representative. If you're working with or want to work with BizzyWeb, we can help you with that as well. So the next thing up, can you explain how we came up with goals for open and click-through? Why 16% and 7%? Steve, the click-through rates that we gave, and I'm actually going to click back over to that part of the event here, and let me just scroll back through. I think it's going to be best to just go back. I'm going to click a bunch of these things, and we'll get into the standard open rates, because I want you guys to see this. Inside of here, you can see the standards, and this is something that Constant Contact has offered us. They have a lot of people that are helping build this stuff a lot. Actually, I'm just going to go home and go forward because that's easier probably. Inside of these numbers, it's right in the middle of the deck, of course, we've got, come on. All right, so where's my notes? There we go. So the average click-through rates for the following industries are as sits. So if you want to see all of the open rates for all kinds of different types of businesses, go to bit.ly/CTCT open rates, and that'll show you what that industry average is. Inside of that link, there's also a number of other spots and details that you'll get. And so that's where we got the 16% and 7%. It's just industry averages, and that's what we'll go from. And again, don't be freaked out if your numbers are lower, or overly congratulatory if your numbers are higher, because these are averages, and it all depends on the substance and effectiveness of the messaging that you're doing. So hopefully that helps, Steve. We talked a little bit about how we'll go through Google Analytics, and I'll cover that in just a moment. Steve also mentioned that that you work at SBDC, and what do you think is better when promoting multiple events? One email promoting a bunch of events, or one event per email? And that's an excellent question, and the excellent answer is it depends. So BizzyWeb does it both ways, and so what we do is we have a monthly email that we send out that has all of our events on it. We call it the Busy Events email, and that keeps our clients and all of our subscribers updated on everything that's happening at BizzyWeb. That's only once a month, and people can just subscribe to the Busy Events. However, we also have a weekly email that goes out in advance of every single Busy webinar. So for Busy Webinars, those emails go out on Mondays, and they let people know what's coming up for the Busy Webinars so that they can subscribe or add their names to the list to get details on what that means. So my short answer, I guess, is a little bit of both. I don't know if I would do every single event to every single person on your list, but having at least that catch-all and then being thoughtful and careful about how you share the rest is probably going to pay dividends. Of course, due to the subject of this event, you're going to want to measure to see what the click-through and open rates are. And if you see that you're sending out, once you decide to send out, daily emails, for example, of everything that's going on that day, if you notice that your unsubscribe rate goes up, or that your click-through rate drops through the floor, or your open rates drop through the floor, that's a good indicator that that's not working for your clients. So as long as you keep seeing that engagement, and as long as people keep clicking and interacting and you see good results, then keep doing it, because your clients might want that reminder every single day. So make sure that you think about that and look at it. And then for Megan and Obed, you're clients of ours, and we'd love to help you with the Google Analytics. Short answer is at BizzyWeb.com/events. We had an entire webinar on this. So if I go to BizzyWeb.com/events and I search for analytics, and actually I need to go into any Busy webinar, and then on the right-hand side, there's a share page. Actually, let me go in here. Let's go to events, register. Inside of here, there's a search tool. And so if I type in analytics, I must have misspelled it. Analytics. Here we go. Search results for analytics, making sense of Google Analytics, 10 tips for small businesses, beginner's guide to Google Analytics, and then BizzyWebinar, top 5 Google Analytics reports is the one that I was thinking about. So inside of here, you can just copy this URL. You can do BizzyWeb.com *S equals analytics, or you can just Google or just type analytics in the search bar like I just did to get to this webinar. But like I said, inside of this top 5 Google Analytics reports webinar, Kevin went through this and gave us all kinds of wonderful details. And there's links to reports inside of this Google Analytics resources archive that are really, really helpful. Kevin did a great job on this event. And boy, yeah, I was wrong. It was a year ago already. All the reports are the same. It's become much easier. So hopefully that's helpful. And Megan and Obed, thank you very much. For anyone else, I don't see any new questions in the event, so I'll hang on for one more minute. If you do have follow-up questions, would encourage you again to check out and get a hold of me at the following link, dave@bizzyweb.com. If you want to call me directly, it's 612-293-9323, or you can call us at the main office at 612-424-9990. And again, dave@bizzyweb.com if you want a copy of this presentation, or if you have any follow-up questions. Again, I'm Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb, reminding you at BizzyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. See you next week.